Welcome back to our Commissioners Corner. Again, I'm Scott. This is Karn, Thomas, and Elisabeth. Thanks for sticking around with us. We're going to talk about some stuff that's going on at the state. The legislative session is going full force. So, Thomas, you want to talk about some of the stuff? I know you spent a fair amount of time down there working on testifying on a number of different things.
Yeah, so several things this last week, notably a couple of different bills with regards to controlling nicotine and tobacco in Colorado. The first bill, 1001, will require statewide licensing of any retailer that sells tobacco or nicotine products. And then it would also ban online sales, but also provides a pathway towards eventually allowing some sort of sale online if people can authenticate that they're over 21, the way that online sales for wine, for example, works. And so spent time testifying this last week with regards to that measure, working with Healthier Colorado, and that one is going well. That will be great for us, right, in terms of the efforts that we took here locally to have both online sales controlled, as well as to have statewide licensing and the heightened level of control and inspections of retailers that would come along with that. So that was key. There's also a bill that would ban flavored vaping products. And we know that in terms of youth use, all of the watermelon, cotton candy, all of the other different vaping flavors that have a lot of nicotine in them is very much addictive for youth. And so that bill is a little bit more problematic because that will have a serious fiscal note along with it, right? And so it'll be interesting to see what legislators do with that. But in a conversation I had just a couple of weeks ago with some high school students that were actually visiting in Denver the same day that I was down there testifying, they all said, if you're serious about trying to stop youth usage of tobacco and nicotine, you've got to do something about the flavored products. So we'll see what happens with those two.
Okay.
The other one that's key for us is a bill that would allow counties to license short-term rentals. So Summit County is the epicenter for short-term rentals. According to Airbnb revenues, Summit County's revenues for Airbnb, just Airbnb alone, are close to what all of the city and county of Denver experiences. And so city and county of Denver, of course, has licensing powers, but Summit County as a county does not. And so there's a bill being carried by our very own Julie McCluskey and our very own State Senator Bob Rankin to allow counties to have that same power to license, which allows us much more immediate reaction versus going through a whole court process right now because we've only got land use permitting processes. And so was down there last week testifying on that bill. That went particularly well because in the Senate committee, we actually had two senators switch their votes to yes during the committee hearing. So
Great.
Nothing like a picture of raw sewage running down the driveway in Senate County to convince somebody that, hey, maybe we need immediate powers to address stuff like this.
Yeah, we're going to wear that picture out.
But it's real, right?
Yeah.
It's real, just like the bear eating the trash at the short-term rental is real, just like the person,
closet.
Right? The closet filled with beds, right?
Yeah.
So in any case, that one went well. And then spent time talking about a couple of other bills that are out there that would have fairly big impacts. One is the public option. That's the latest bill that Representative Dylan Roberts, who is just right next door to us, representing Eagle and Routt counties, is carrying, and then the Family Act. And so that bill has a bumpy ride, but we're paying close attention.
Yeah, definitely. So. Okay, good. Thanks for spending so much time down there. Thanks for advocating for those different issues that are so important to Summit County as well.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's see, Karn, let's go to you. state of the river. What is the state of the river and when is the state of the river?
Well, we won't know the state of the river because this time of year we like to make predictions because we have so much snowfall. It's going to be a big river year, and then it could be dry this next month, and it could be the opposite. So we don't know until May 14th. So mark your calendars for May 14th. That's the State of the River annual event at the Silverthorne Pavilion. And we'll know a lot more then, 6 p.m., May 14th.
Okay, great. Do you want to talk a little bit about what they talk about in the State of the River meeting?
You know, it's always different. We always talk about water levels, especially in the home territory. That's what we care about most. We'll also talk about just the overall impact of climate change and increasing temperatures and what that's doing to our obligation to get so much water to Lake Powell from the upper basin to the lower basin. And we may have these banner years of snow, but it's not interpreting to actual water because of increases in temperature. So that's kind of big picture of what we'll be talking about. And there are lots of bits and pieces to that and lots of interesting things going on in our upper basin states, Wyoming and Utah. Colorado's been taking the lead on trying to figure out how to get more water down there. But we have to work with our neighbors too.
If you like charts and graphs, you should come to the State of the River.
Yeah.
There are lots of charts and lots of graphs all about the river, the Colorado River.
Lots of science. It's really cool.
And no ticket required. You just
Oh, no.
show up and you get to enjoy the festivities.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Just show
perfect.
up and talk water.
Great, great. All right, our last topic for the day, so thank you for hanging in there, is census. And so, Elizabeth, you want to talk a little bit about, again, the ongoing census initiative?
Sure, I can. So the census is very important, as we all know, 2020, so we have it every 10 years, once a decade, and it's important to get an accurate count. Summit County is not always the best at responding to the census, and there's a number of factors related to that. One is our seasonal workforce. We have a lot of people traveling. It's at a tough time of year, et cetera, et cetera. But we are committed this year to answering. So we're going to raise that response rate and get more people to be counted because there's a lot on the line. Not only do we have dollars here in Summit County that we're dependent upon from the census, such as that go to our school and transportation dollars and a lot of funding for health and human services every year. It's also has to do with our representation in Congress. And Colorado is set to get another congressional seat, and that will be determined after this census. All signs are pointing to that. We know that more people have moved to Colorado in the last decade. I mean, we had a few years, it was 100,000 people a year, I think.
Yeah.
This year we're on track for about 75,000 people. It's a lot, but those people are not currently really being represented. So that's why the census is so important as well. So here, starting March 12th, next week, you all can respond to the census online. It's the first time ever there's been an online option. I believe it's 2020census.gov is the website, and people can go there and respond to the census, and it's done per address. So you would then respond for all the people living at your address in your unit, etc. So it's easy to do. You don't need a special identification code, which you would get if you lived elsewhere in the United States. But here, where we're just getting mailed at P.O. boxes, you won't receive a special code. But you can go fill out the census. It's also by phone. What we're trying to do is prevent people from having to depend upon a census enumerator coming to your door. We have such a low unemployment rate right now. The census is having trouble hiring people, and it's real simple. People can go online. It just takes a few minutes. We have events set up throughout the county over the next few weeks. All of our ski resorts are partnering with us, our local libraries, the school district, the senior center, local churches. I mean, it's just a vast majority of organizations in our community are working with us.
If people are willing to do census counting, who do they contact?
Yeah, so they can go to that same website, the census.gov website, and it tells how to apply and all that sort of thing.
Okay.
Great. All right, good. Karn, anything else to add for the good of the order?
Well, we are at a big disadvantage because of the P.O. Box issue that we
Yes.
have
Yes.
here, which
Yes.
seems really unfair. But that P.O. Box situation is generally unfair, and this is a really significant issue.
Yeah, and kudos again to the state as well as to this local Complete Count Committee. There's been funding. There are a lot of additional outreach efforts that we haven't had in years past, and so or decades past. So hopefully we do see a higher response rate right out of the gate. So
And kudos to Elizabeth for taking it on. Thank you.
yes, thanks.
And thanks to Elizabeth, people will be getting postcards.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's to the state. Department of Local Affairs did a great grant program that was passed through the state legislature last year, and different communities could apply, and so we got part of that grant, and so we're sending out postcards here from Summit County. And I will say all of the towns, Blue River, Breckenridge, Dillon, Frisco, Silverthorne, have all partnered with the county to make sure the census is very successful.
Great. All right. That's all we've got. So it's a wrap. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned and take a look at, again, our special videos related to COVID-19 coronavirus.